you kidding? Plug in the camera. Good morning. I'm here to plug in the camera. Okay, camera. I don't want to use this camera. I want to use it and make it take over. I am here. Talk among yourselves. We have slight technical problems. Okie dokie. Come on, camera. Well, it worked yesterday during the test. I don't know what's going on here. Let's try this button. Might have to do it old school and just use the camera on the laptop. Yeah, currently live podcast. If I can get the camera to work, it worked yesterday. Can somebody give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? Okay, great. Right, microphone works. Not working. Camera? Bad boy. Yes, I know. You can hear me. Thank you for that. Now we just have to get the camera to talk to the computer. Apparently they had an argument and can't do it. But while you're watching, I do narrate audiobooks. So, enjoy the soothing calm of voice. Oh, come on now. Why is this not working? Does anybody have ideas? Anyone? It's a plug-in camera. Okay. I am just going to have to abandon that camera. All right, we're going to abandon the camera. Okay. Hello. Good morning. Thanks for coming. Sorry, the good camera didn't work, so we're going to use the laptop. So there will be some tilting later so you can see. First, let me say, Chris, if you wander in or if you're so bored later that you come and visit the recording, from myself and from our entire digital community, our deepest condolences and sympathies to your whole family. We're sorry you can't be here, but we certainly understand. Have safe travels home, and we will catch up with you next week when you get back. Okay, onward for the day. Thanks for everybody that's in the room. Can you see a video? Somebody? Anybody? Is there now video? Hello, computer. Okay, we have video. All right. So welcome to my studio. I do have the curtains shut because the sun is ablazing. Please forgive me. I have been up for days. Weather has kept me very, very busy, but we're going to muddle through this because I promised you a little bit of sectional video today. I I do have the baby wolf set up for, I know the video is fuzzy. It's the crappy one on the camera that comes with the laptop. I can't fix that. Let's see if I can tweak the setting though. Maybe. Nope. Surprise. YouTube. My good camera will not talk to the computer today. It talked to the computer yesterday just fine. The baby wolf is currently set up for the latest tartan. I have all the sections loaded except for one so that I can show you how it works because some of the regular people that beam on their full loom wanted to see how a sectional worked, and I'm still behind on making the video for how to sectional work because I can't stand making videos. It's boring. It's the editing I don't like. Here's the latest, newest coming up tartan. There. It's called the Moorland. Um, it's one of my favorite color combinations. It's very 70s. It's got gold and avocado and slate blue and cream. It's really a pretty thing. Um, so let me show you how this works. I'm going to have to, like I said, redo the camera and everything. So bear with me. As many as you know, I use an AVL warping loom. You see that? Warping wheel. So mine's vertical and it squeaks. I'm sorry, it squeaks. But as you turn it, it actually has a counter on it. And this is not a sales thing. I don't get any commission or anything. This is mine. I paid for it. But it's got a tension on it. So as you spin it, it also has a counter. So you don't have to count. You can hit 0 every time. If you have 40 of one color, you just spin it and wrap until you hit 40. And then you hit 0, 0 it out and do the next color. If you're only doing one color, that's even better. But anyway, this one is ready to go. And like I said, it's already got a tensioner on it. So you don't need a tensioning box on a sectional loom. And if you don't know what a sectional loom is, and you are putting your warp on the beam all at one time, like a normal human being, like most people do, they look at a sectional beam and here we go, we're going to move. And it looks like a porcupine. And what you're doing is you are actually just creating a warp of however many strings fit per inch. So this is considered 2 inches, this space, even though it's 1 inch and 3/4. So whatever your EPI is for 2 inches, that's how many threads the warp is going to be for just this section. So these are 48 in each section. And for things that require a pattern, it's a little more difficult because you have to make yourself a map and so that you know what order in the exact direction you're working goes. And I actually work left to right, but I skipped the first section on this side so I could show you better with the good camera, which isn't working. So we're going to do our best here. This is a guide my son printed me that helps keep the threads in line as they go down so I don't catch one of the pins as you're turning. So you don't necessarily need this. I've just found it helpful. And I will show you how my warping wheel keeps everything in line. So we're going to turn again. And we are going to try our best. I can't read the captions and do this at the same time. So here we go. Let's see. Okay. How am I going to do this? Let's see. Let's see if we can move you to the bench. How's that? Again, apologies for the camera quality. Blame Lenovo. And the movement, I don't know what company that camera is. Logic. All right, so I'm going to show you. Can we all kind of see? I know, sunlight sucks. Nebraska. Okay, so a little hard to see, but this is the top of the warping wheel. And it actually has a miniature reed in it. You see it? Little teeth. And this is what keeps everything sectioned as you're separate as you're warping. So I've got 2 threads per dent up here. And to get it out, can you still see kind of okay? Well, we're going to do our best today. You pull a pin and you close this trap that holds it in so that threads don't fall out of the top. So this is a 3.5 yard warp on here. And now you've got to separate the continuous circle that goes around this. And you simply hold on to it. And you kind of pinch your fingers so that you're holding on two sides of your cut. And you just go for it. Now you put your scissors down where you know where they're going to be, but I guarantee where you put them down, they're going to be in your way. And if you move them again, you'll lose them. Then you tuck one of the tails, which is the end, into this little locking pin, which I know it's hard to see. I know. You still got a hold of this, and you don't let go of this. You just don't do it. You just kind of wrap your fingers around and grab a hold of the top. And you're going to pull the next pin. And that frees up your section of warp. This is 2 inches worth of warp, and you just give it a pull. And now there's a holder right here. Pardon my tookus, coming around. I said scissors were in the way. And I've still got a hold. I'm sorry, it's dark. You got a hold of it here, and you put it in this holder. And you put your pin back in. Okay. Now you smooth out your warp, and I'm going to move the camera here again, and you tie an overhand knot. You're just going to give yourself a knot. Okay. Now that there's a knot here, you can turn it. Won't go through the reed. You're safe, and you can let go. All righty. Let's see if we can get you some better light. We're gonna move. Here we go. That's better. Boy, this room's hard. Okay. All right. So now you can see the mini reed. It's got tension on it already because the machine has a tensioning brake. So as you unreel this warp, it's on tension. Okay. So here we've got the loom. All right. Oops, sorry for the bouncy. Okay. So the goal is to get this onto there. And I'm going to use this. This is our lead warp. And we're just going to use a simple overhand Lark's knot. And I will show you how that works. I'm going to do this back and forth so that you can see. Okay. We'll manage. Okay. So this is just a loop. Okay. See, just a loop of string. It's attached to the center of the section on the warp. And all you do is you go up, wrong hand, this way, like this, grab it, and it makes a little bunny ears. And if you pull the center in, it makes a tight little loop, okay? I'm going to open this up. We're going to reach over, and we're going to put our knot into the loop and tighten it. And this is where I back up just a little bit and tighten it so I can go find my scissors, because they're never where I expect them to be. Now, if you can do this warp on a regular warping board or dining room chairs or whatever you want, but you need tension when you put it on the beam so that you can keep each section even, so that you don't have a warp when you're weaving that's, loose tension, tight tension. If you don't have a wheel that has an automatic tensioner on it, then you can use a warping box, a tension box, and pretend the loom's on this side. Then you feed your warp section up and around these, and that traction, the friction on these pegs, will give you your tension. You feed it through the dents on this mini reed, and that sits here on the beam, goes down, and that keeps this tiny little narrow piece, feeds it right into the narrow section. But I'm not using that, which is why I had my son make these yellow guides. Tell you what, child with 3D printer is really handy. All right, so we have our sectional warp attached to our string, and it's going down into, I'm going to move you again. I'm going to put you in the spot right There. Okay, how's that for an action angle? Dun, 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 dun. James Bond music. All right, at this point, you could just crank the handle, release the brake, and have this drag through the section, but I've noticed every time you do that, it'll put a twist in it. So, I put the lightest pressure on my brake to release it, hold on to this knot, and crank it, get it over the section so I can just lay it down, then I can crank it. All I do is I move the string out of my way. There we go, so I don't get the lump of doom. And when I get to the knot, I just push it underneath so it's smooth, which I know you can't see, but and if I notice my section is a little off, I'll either just shove my loom over or the yellow guide. And then you just crank it on. How's that for spiffy diffy, huh? All right, so I have reached the end of the tension on my warping wheel, and this isn't quite full, and I've still got a yard and a quarter behind you. So now what do you do? All right, so I'm gonna back you up again. Boop, 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 boop. And see if you raise you up a little bit more here. Going up. Whoop. Ah, sorry. Sorry. Did anybody hit their head? Okay. All right. Little tougher angle. So here we go. Again, apologies for the camera. All right. So you've got a yard and a quarter. It's still stuck on here. So what I do, piece of tape, it's just painter's tape. The less tacky, the better. And in fact, I'll even put it on my clothes, peel it off so it's not as sticky. And I'll go up here, move the spool out of the way, and stick it on the spool, sticky side up, lift, and it leaves all of the. Okay, we're going for a car ride. Here we go, everybody. Slow and gentle, slow and gentle. Stupid camera. Okay. All right. Sticky side up so it captures all of those warp threads in order. Then you just close the tape and pinch. Now, you could also use a piece of cardboard under here, or my son printed me these little plastic cards you could stick under there. I found they just get in my way. I don't really need them. This wheel also has a cross you can put on it, and I don't like doing crosses. It's just my way. You can put a cross in so you don't lose your every other thread. I don't find it necessary anymore, but you can use them. It's not a problem. So what I'm going to do is, before I put you down, I will explain. So this is protected now. My thread order is protected by this piece of tape. I'm going to cut it here and hold the tension with my hand. Take the pin out of the gate, which we can do now because it's not going anywhere. We're going to open the gate. So now when we lift this cut section, it'll come up over the reed. And then I'm going to simply hold up my warp and wrap the rest onto the warping wheel. So I'm going to set you down while I cut because I do need at least one hand for the scissors. So let's see if we can get you an angle here that works. There we go. Yeah, I had my camera all set up for the other way to do this, and you could have seen everything, and I could have just pinched it, and it would have been done. Change the angles. All right. Simple cut there. You know, I've got a hold of it. It's not going anywhere. It's safe. My thread order is contained by the tape. There we go. I'm going to step over just so that you can see better. All right. Remember, thread order is protected. Okay, I can't reach the brake, but we're gonna wing it with my toes. I think that the baby wolf needs a longer brake so you can work on it from the back, maybe one on each side with a bar that goes across the back like a great big old piano pedal. So you can work it just from the back like an organ pump. I don't know. I didn't design it, but I might redesign it. Anyway, so break with my toes. I'm going to twirl with the sectional beams, pins, and it goes on just like that. Lickety splickety. And just like that, I've got 48 threads in order, in the color order I want, smooth as silk and in order. Okay. And then once they're sitting on there, I'm going to move you. Here we go. Okay. This is the section we just did, and I've got all 48 pieces of yarn right there. Take a second piece of tape and slap it on there. And that's how easy it is to put. I mean, warp, excuse me, winding the warp, we all know how to do that. It's just by tinier little sections to get it on a sectional beam. That's all there is to it. Now, I hear you say, great, now it's on there. Now what do? It's exactly the same as dressing a regular beam, except if you have 500 threads on your regular beam, I don't even know how you do it because I don't do it that way. Mine is broken into 48 thread sections, so all I need to do is, let me show you. Let's see if we can do this, shall we? I'll show you one. Take my guide off. I'm not going to dress the whole loom. I'm not in the mood today to do heddles at all, not one bit. I might go narrate a book on menopause, by the way. Lovely. Comically written. Okay. I didn't write it. I'm just reading it. Am I in the mood to deal with a menopause book today? Absolutely. All right. So, oh, this is good. Okay. Are we good now? Everybody take a breath, recenter your ears, get off the dizzy train. Yes, it's up here, my threading order. That way I never have to think about it. Menopause doesn't win that day. All right. So I warp my back beam from left to right, and I thread my heddles from right to left. Don't ask, it's the way I do it. There's no reason for it. You do it however you want to. Now, this is the part that scares some people. The first section, okay, second part that scares people. I also take this back beam off because it's in my way. It goes back on later. I need it for loading this beam. I don't need it for filling the heddles. So here's this first section, and you just drop it. It's protected by the tape. You check. Yeah, I could barely make it through the heddles, but I'm never going to make it to the front least stick. So take it again. Drop it. Ah! No, you're fine. The tape is protecting your order. You just don't twist it. You're fine. Pick it up again. Now it's going to go through the heddles. It'll make it through to where you can clip it with a potato clip or another piece of tape until you tie the whole thing on at once onto the front sticks, the pickup stick. So now you've got this disgusting mess, right? It looks terrible. This piece of tape, you don't need at all. That was just to hold it onto the beam. Toss it on the floor, pick it up later. Don't let the vacuum cleaner choke on it. So you're still protected here. I put this on the top. However you normally manage your warp yarns to keep them in order to go through the heddles, you just keep doing that. What I do, and my tape is in the closet, is I put a piece of tape across the top, sticky side up, and I tape down both ends. And then I take this protected order bundle of yarn, and I will lay it across the sticky tape, push it down until it's stuck, and I will remove that protective order piece of tape. So now I've got it in order, protected on top of the castle. Then I simply, in order, pick out the first one, thread it, move it over, second one, thread it, move it over, till it's all done. Then I move to the next section. When I'm done, I've got all the threads going through the heddles. And this is the part where I showed somebody one day at home while they were here. and it freaked him out. So pretend all of these are threaded through the heddles. They panicked. Why? Because I didn't have my back beam on. Well, here's what you do with that. And I'm going to demonstrate with, I should have warned you I was moving you. I'm so sorry. I'm going to move you again too. Here we go. All righty. We're moving. We're moving. We're moving. We're ignoring the cutter that's hanging in your poor face. Okay. So pretend you've got all these sections through the heddles and they're protected in the front with a chip clip. And this works with your other warp on your regular beam too. It's just easier to warp those heddles without the back beam on. If you can do it, you can get so much closer. But now you've done it and you've panicked because you forgot to take them up over the back beam. Just take your back beam off if you left it on but forgot to go around it. But if you took it off and threaded those heddles without it on, it's okay. Just take your beam, feed it under all of those threaded pieces. It's tight when it's here. Release your brake a little bit because the threads are protected on the other side by chip clips or knots or however you do it. And then simply release your brake, and that allows you to pull all of those warp threads this way. And then you just put your back beam back on. Retention, turn your handle when you do your brake, and you're good to go. And that's how I do it. And it takes me about 2 hours to warp 500 threads and get them on the back beam. And then it'll take me another 3 hours to get all of these threaded through the heddles. So, yeah. And I'll do a more detailed video later. It's just, my world is really busy. So to get time to do an edit, it's the editing. But we'll go in more depth with better camera angles and the better camera. Why is it not working? I don't know. So I'm not moving you guys around a lot. Look at my water. So, okay, let me see if there's anybody have any questions? That was the down and dirty half-hour version of how my system works. Let's see. Yeah, right, Connie? You take the beam off. I did it once by accident. Went, oh, wait, it comes off. I can get 3 feet closer. Okay, let's see. Bifocals. Right. Well, yeah, but you don't need the back beam always, but it's better to put it back on. The tension's better. The angle for your shed is much better if you remember. Did you run into that, Trish? You're weaving and you realize you forgot the back beam. What's wrong with the angle of my shed? Okay. I need a chatelaine. Oh, Kimberly, for my scissors and well, I have a cutter. I have an antique a circle cutter, and it hangs on right on the warping wheel. Forget it's there. There's a pair of scissors there. There's a pair of scissors hanging on the warping wheel on the back. There's usually a pair of scissors in my pocket, and I still can't find them. Scissors. Oh, goodness. Let's see. What else? Did that sectional beam come with a baby wolf, or is that the one you had made? The sectional beam. My baby wolf did not come with a sectional beam. Baby wolf makes a sectional beam. I made the sectional beam. And even if I had not made mine, but bought theirs, I refuse to do that. I have a wood shop. Why would I? Yeah. I bought, these are just they're dowel covers. You can buy them on Amazon, like a package of 1 billion for like $10. Appropriate size for the dowel section holders, and it goes over the sectional dowels. Highly recommend these if you have a sectional, because that way your threads hit this and slide right off the side because they're slick and they're rounded, and they go right where they're supposed to, as opposed to catching on the little edges that aren't sanded of a dowel. Even the purchased ones are rough. So I can't find a place to put my book. Good heavens. This is what happens when you work 2 days in a row without a break. Okay. So, your threads hit this little peak and they just, oh, that's nice backlighting. hit the peak and just slide right off where they belong. Um, Triple check how many you need though, because I needed way more than I thought I did. But I love the build on the sectional loom. I'll create one. Did I adapt my back beam or make the sectional beam yourself? The back beam was a traditional, just smooth, full warp. Um, and all Baby Wolf is their back beam is a wood beam, and you buy the fins that have the sectional dowels on them, and they've got a hole in the sectional fin, and you actually have to provide the screws even, and you just pre-drill into their wood beam and attach the fin with the dowels into their wood beam. I was like, well, I can do that. I can make fins with holes in them and screw right into my beam too. So that's what I did. And I think they want $400 for it. I don't blame them. It's a pain. And we have all the equipment already to do it. So, but it's very easy to build. It's not expensive to build at all. I used hardwood and hardwood dowels. I think I've got less than $50 into it. So if you got the equipment already, I converted this one and another loom that I don't have anymore that had a wood beam. Okay. And hello everybody for coming, and thank you for coming. Poke the like button. I'm not monetized, but it's always nice for the algorithm to play with it. Let's see. Anybody else? Anybody? I was winging it because I felt bad that Chris was going to be gone, and I didn't want us to lose our coffee spot today, just because we're all in a routine of getting together at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday, and couldn't think of a topic today, and I'm in between projects. I'd take you around and show you the house, but nobody wants to see my house. It's a mess. No, it's not. It's not. ADHD people don't have messy houses for the most part. When you have OCD too. So, what else am I doing? Well, besides weather work, I'm spending the rest of the day canning tomatoes for the freeze dryer, about 82 gallons of spaghetti sauce. Um, I'm writing a book. Did you know I'm writing a book? Because I have just so much time left. Um, yeah, sewing room and the voice recording studio, and the loom. Excuse me. Connie says my antique Auguste had a sectional beam, but Norm took the rods off. Yeah, I don't blame you, Connie, for not wanting to change your way. You get in a groove, and I honestly, the y'all that can do the warping wheel and have a million threads going at once, and I know you tie them in sections, like you can go every 10 or 20 threads to keep, help with counting, and you run that extra tie. Um, to keep things together. But it just for me, it was always they always twisted. I got frustrated, and once I learned sectional, I just for my mental sanity, it was just easier for me. And that's what we do. We find what works for us. We and we just keep going. And when something doesn't work, we usually find a way around it. And there's a select few that decide, hey, this isn't working for me, I quit. But a lot of us are kind of tenacious, and we just go forward and try to make it work and find a workaround. But that's why if you ask 20 different weavers, knitters, anybody how to do something, there's 20 different answers. And there's always but you can always do it this way too. So ask 20 people how to do a certain thing, and you're going to get 50 answers. And you just have to find the method and the tool that works for you. I also couldn't use the warping wheel that's a vertical drum. The spinning of it kicked in my vertigo, couldn't do it. Um, and it didn't have a tension system. So if you were pulling on it, it would start to spin wildly. It would just let everything on the floor. Or the horizontal drum, which is the same thing. Some have brakes, but the spinning of that coming at me or going away made me dizzy. This doesn't bother me. Um, we all go through tools. We need to set up a trade for things that don't work for us, so that we can get them back into circulation and find things that do work for us. We need a lending library for weavers, right? Yeah, lending library for weavers. Oh, let's see. Yeah, chat away. I'll keep it open for till 9:45 my time. another 15-ish minutes so we can chat. What is my book about from Trish? Well, I have several children's books um, in different stages of progress, and have been in for years just because I get too busy. But they're uh, upper elementary school age chapter books, farm life, based on my great grandmother. So it's got recipes in it as well. So like you read about what they're making, what she's making for dinner or lunch, and then you can flip to the back and find the actual recipe. I'm a firm believer that if we expect high things from children and challenge them instead of toning things down, then we get better results from our education. So bigger words, words you need to figure out by reading context, and then more challenging stories. When I look back and see some of the things, some of the texts that other children were reading 100 years ago at the same age level, I'm a little appalled at how little children now can read. It's getting worse. I used to substitute teach, and I gave that up because I couldn't handle the classroom kids anymore. They're addicted to technology, and it's not doing them any good. Um, the other thing I'm working on is I am transcribing my great grandfather's diaries that no one has laid eyes on, uh, from 1893 forward to about 1920. So it covers his time as a surgeon in France, in charge of a hospital in France. So I haven't gotten that far yet. We're still in 1893. Luckily, I have spent decades volunteering for the National Archives, deciphering handwritten notes, messages, and mails from the 1800s. So I'm really good at reading that script that just looks like chicken scratch. And my great grandfather was also ended up being a surgeon. So not only does he have chicken scratch of the era, but he's also a doctor. So he's got extra chicken scratch, just chicken scratch handwriting. But it's been fun because where we started in this diary, he's still 17 years old, and he complains about coming home and um, having to do his Greek and Latin recitations at 17. His dad was a preacher and a very strict household. And um, so he's still, I don't want to say chasing girls, but the girls are getting, he's talking about this is the summer of rose and the month of rose, and it was June. So it is the month of roses, and he's chasing a girl named Rose, and he is smitten. And when I last left him yesterday, he was talking about how he wished Rose was a little younger, and Rose was 16. So I'm like, ooh. So the diary is uh, does begin with my narrative with my boy, I am tired. Um, with a forward by me saying that the opinions, thoughts, and generalities of the original author are his because it's not the way we roll now. So I don't know what age difference he was looking at. I thought she might have been much older, like 25 or something. But no, he's 17 and she was a year younger. But he loved her so much. So we'll see where that goes. I know they don't get married because I know his first wife. And it wasn't Rose. But he went on actually in the early 1900s to write 3 books, and I have several copies of those in the basement. Um, one of which is used as a textbook. Uh, it's called, if you're looking for something to read, it's called John Montcalm, The Heretic. Um, it's not a biography, but if you know great grandpa and you know his background, it is a biography, and it's about a young man coming to light with his own spirituality, and he didn't like the fact that his dad was a preacher, and it comes across very, it's a way of him questioning how he was brought up, and he's free thinking in an age where you were just the religion of your parents. And I, it's a good book, but reading it from the lens of I know what he went through, and I understand it because I'm a long line of preachers' kids. I know where it's coming from, and so I've got a little different opinion on it than many. Oh, Cindy, that's okay. You can watch the rest later. It was sectional beaming. It's okay. It's okay. You missed the camera not working. It's okay. Um, my book, yes, I will. I will let you know. You know me. I'll toot my own horn because nobody's going to toot you for it. Toot it for you. You'd get germs, and I don't want to be responsible for strep throat. So you got to toot your own horn. Oh, yeah. I have a pile of my grandfather's World War II stuff too, Deb. We just have to figure out what happened to it after my mom died. We can't figure out where it went. I have my grandfather went to um, Valley Forge Preparatory Academy in Pennsylvania for high school, and we have all of his letters and him writing home, begging for extra allowance. Yeah, see, there's nothing wrong with a day book, Connie. They're fun. They're interesting. I mean, this kid, one of his entries was kid, great grandfather. Um, was nothing to report exciting today. Went to the store. He worked at a general store. Studied Greek, studied Latin. Nothing exciting today, but the weather was splendid. And then it goes on to the next day. But it's those things that we take as mundane and boring, but it's nifty to know. Does it make sense? It's like this is how they spent their day. They didn't go home and play video games. They didn't, you know. I need to find out if they had a maid though. They had 8 children, and mom and dad disappeared for 3 weeks to a conference. They must have had a daykeeper to help with the kids. I don't know. I am putting original pages and historical footnotes um, in the book with the diary entries. I'm also doing footnotes with if I can figure out who he's talking about. Um, Genealogy information so that other people that read the book, that's my goal, is to get the information back out there so that when you're doing family research, it is so cool to find that missing ancestor online and just have a, even if it's just the briefest of interactions with somebody, it makes them a person again and not just a name. And I still can't find Rose. I think I found Rose. I'm not sure I found Rose. um, but that's so cool to find out, oh, they dated. Oh my gosh, that's a person. That's a 17-year-old kid, not out playing paintball, not chasing down playing senior prank games. That's a kid who's graduated high school, working on preparatory academy and speaking Greek and Latin. And, what do they do for fun? They went for walks. Remember those walks, listening to the spring peeper frogs? Yeah, I love it. I love the fact that they were bored one night and they hired they didn't call it a hay wagon. It was oh gee Christmas, what was it called? It's the word for left when you're driving a horse. Hmm. Guy is right. Does anybody know what left is? Guy is right. Left is anyway. It's basically it's like a hay wagon, but it doesn't have the sides. And they rented that, and a whole crowd of them went out for just a ride down to Maryland to go visit somebody else for the day. Cindy said she just purchased a book that her mother-in-law mentioned in several. Yeah, see, when you find that name when they're mentioned, it is bittersweet, but it's a part of their life you didn't know existed, and that makes them human. That's what I love. There's channels on YouTube, if you didn't know they're out there, Google them, that take historic paintings of people or photographs of people that are older, and they use AI to bring them back to life. And all they're doing is turning their head or maybe a silent movie mouthing words to somebody off camera. And it by making them move, it makes them completely different. It makes them people again instead of just images and names. And I love watching those. He had an older sister, but she was married and lived not in the same village. Um, so let's see. Oh, Cindy, I didn't catch that the book came the day she passed away. Last week? You lost your mother-in-law last week? I'm so sorry. Eileen says when she lived with her grandmother, I had the opportunity to learn about her life as a maid in a merchant's house in Cardiff, Wales in the early 1900s. It was fascinating, isn't it? I mean, things they take for granted. I mean, taking laundry down to the laundry room or the back where they had to boil things. as I listen to my LG banging around down the hall. Doing laundry for me, no big deal. For them, boiling, hanging, wringing, mercy. Well, okay, I'm going to cut us off because I am rambling and low on sleep and high on caffeine. So it wasn't as exciting as it was when Chris does it, and she's got all the little things at the bottom, and Lori's poking buttons and blowing and tooting horns. But I wanted to save our spot. I wanted to give us a place to go for one day, and I'm sure she will be back next week. Um, so there we go. Look for a longer video edited properly on sectional weaving for anybody that's interested. If anybody does sectional weaving and they need help or just starting, let me know. I'll walk you through it. We'll do a private thing so that you can swear. And we will chat later. But thank you for coming. And if there's any questions you have for me, just throw me an email or something. Poke me on Facebook Live. We'll see you next week, but I'll be in the chat, weather permitting. So have a great day. Those of you in Iowa, the storms later, and then Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio. I'm sorry you have to get your pool toys out to get to work. It's a little bit wet. So have a fantastic day. Go do a load of laundry. And like Chris would say, go do something for yourself, not for anybody else, just for you. See you later. Bye.